We were having some great conversations there, and now we don't know whether we're actually got some sound this time. The mic was plugged in, and yet no sound. Not like they're trying to interfere with us. We had a great chat with the councillor there from Reform, and they cut off the sound. I mean, it's quite clear that they're interfering with us. I mean, it goes without saying. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. So we've actually got some sound this time. So we're not going to be beaten. Yeah, yeah. So good. Sorry, John, about that. Thanks for trying to tell me. I thought it was just buffering, but and I thought it might just been the signal. But apparently they've cut the sound, and we're having some great conversations there. Your baby girl here. Thanks, Johnny boy. Thank you. And so we had no sound. We had a great conversation there with the councillor and Alistair as well. And for some reason the mic wasn't picking up, the sound wasn't picking up, and unfortunately we've missed a lot of the audio on this, which there were some very interesting things happening, and unfortunately now we're going to have to start again, but at least it's working now. So let's have a wee chat. Alistair. It was stopping and buffering as well. Do you think there is on a different level? I've already been banned on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I couldn't read that. I couldn't read what was actually. I couldn't live stream from the Reform conference. So do you think there's something orchestrated that is preventing actual broadcasting as well? There seems to be. I've had a number of things where they actually deliberately screw up your signal, and you can, like just now we were speaking away there, and none of that was audio recorded there. So we've got a full chat happening, and none of it was audio recorded. You could actually see us, but we couldn't actually hear us. Do you think they're deliberately trying to interfere?
If you want my honest opinion, I would say I doubt that. I doubt that.
Right.
I think it's just the perils of live broadcasting. We have the same problems sometimes with our audio and things like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that we were important enough that they would have some satellite that could beam down specifically upon us, but I probably doubt it.
John's saying it's possibly down just to technical difficulties. So Alistair, let's recap, because it was quite interesting conversations we were having there. We were basically saying that this is basically an anti-reform meeting, isn't it? This is because the globalists are basically, the uni-party globalists are really scared about reform increasing in the polls, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the reason why they're holding this conference. And my organisation, A Force for Good, we don't support any particular political party per se, but we are sympathetic to anybody who is going to promote an immigration restrictionist message. And at the moment, the only party that's doing that to any degree of success in Scotland is Reform. And so Swinney is concerned that when it comes to the 7th of May 2026, next year, at the Scottish Holyrood election, that Reform are going to break through. And because of the nature of the system, the way that the voting works, it's very feasible that they could get up to 12, maybe even more, candidates elected on the regional list via proportional representation. Now, there's only 129 MSPs in the whole of Holyrood, and so it's quite feasible that like 12, 14, even 15
could hold the balance of power.
Easily hold the balance of power, certainly be very influential. And it would cause Swinney and others, people like him, to actually have to
compromise
and also deal with these sorts of issues, which he's never had to deal with before, which is people having an immigration restriction message in Scotland, something he doesn't want to hear because he's pro-mass immigration, unfortunately.
But that doesn't make sense for being a Scottish National Party, and that's what we're talking earlier on about, where we're basically saying that the Scottish National Party are a globalist shill party. They're not an actual nationalist party in the way that you would consider nationalism.
Oh, they're not a nationalist party in that sense, no. The word national is just a convenience for them. Really, they're a globalist party, as you said, a globalist party, which is to say that they don't see
the GIMP party,
yeah.
The globalist Islamo-Marxist party, GIMPs.
Well, they certainly could sometimes be accused of that by some people, no doubt, but they're certainly not. In the sense of a national party wanting to protect Scotland's borders, wanting to even keep Scotland primarily for the native Scottish, as it were.
But it doesn't even make sense, a political stance, Alistair, because they're basically saying that they want to withdraw from Westminster, but get governed by 20 unelected commissioners in Brussels. They're a sort of pre-rejoin party as well.
That's right. That's right. That's all part of their globalist message as well.
The globalist agenda as well for the one world government, one world currency.
Yes. It's such a pity because a genuinely Scottish nationalist party that was for keeping Scotland. For protecting Scotland, for protecting Scotland's borders, it would actually probably do quite well if they had good spokesmen and people in the party who could articulate such a message. But they shy away from that, which is maybe just as well from their perspective, because that would all fall apart very rapidly under their particular quality of candidates. But yeah, it's an interesting period that we're living through, but what's important is that these alternative ideas are rising. We've got fresh voices coming up in Scotland, and all of that's important, and that will also influence the wider British political debate also. So yeah.
And Reform look like they're the number one party down south as well. They look like they're going to get the most votes, and the Labour Party could be down to about 200 odd seats or something like that.
I think so. And I think that's going to be a big consideration. That's not going to be until 2029, so there'll be a lot of water under the bridge between then and now. So we'll just have to see.
And I was saying to you earlier on when we had sound or didn't have sound, that Anas Sarwar and the Labour Party in Scotland are now potentially. Sir John Curtis has got them in 4th place and could be down to 14 seats. And with slight variations, Reform could put them into 5th place, depending on if the Reform get more seats in the list votes and the second vote in the Scottish Parliament. The Labour could be in 5th place in Scotland.
That would be remarkable. I mean, if that happened, that would just be absolutely game-changing. I mean, that would be... it's a good chance that they'll beat the Conservatives, certainly Lib Dems, almost certainly they'll beat the Greens as well. But as for the Labour, to beat Labour, that would be remarkable. But anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Could mean that it would be SNP and the Reform could potentially, with small changes in percentages, be the second largest party, and that's probably why the Uni Party in here, which is the Alba, the Greens, the Watermelons, yeah, that's right, the Greens, the Labour Party, the SNP and Labour are all in here. The Uni Party, the Globalist Uni Party, are all basically in here having a meeting about reform.
Yeah. That's why they're here, and that's what they're concerned about. And it's really ridiculous when you think about it, because border control should be a very mainstream issue. It's not something that you say, oh, that's the preserve of the extremes. No, that's if anything is mainstream, it's about literally the least we should expect as voters is that we have a government that protects the borders of the nation. whether economically or physically or militarily or whatever way, borders need to be protected, and that's the very least we should be expecting. So it's the most mainstream issue you could possibly imagine, is the proper security and sovereignty and sanctity of the national borders. And the idea that this has been an element of governance that's been pushed to the fringes, that's appalling, absolutely appalling.
Yeah, and what I was going to say, you were discussing with a guy who came over there and confronted you, who was from an NGO.
Oh yeah.
And do you want to just tell us a wee bit about what happened there, Alistair?
Oh, there was this guy come over who was clearly one of these people that sucks off the teat of the Scottish taxpayer, because basically unemployable in any other realm of life. And his job was working for a charity or NGO that encourages people to claim asylum in Britain. And we got into a little bit of a heated debate about why he's bringing people over. It's basically encouraging people to come over from war zones like in Syria, when the actual humane thing to do would be to encourage them to seek asylum, if they are to seek asylum, somewhere in the Arab world where they at least speak the language, where the culture's the same
religion,
where the religion's the same, and where any skills that they have may find employability. But you bring some of these people to this country, it's literally like a duck out of water. I mean, they don't speak the language. Culturally, they're they find themselves incompatible with the rest of the culture, and they find themselves often unemployed and unhappy also as a consequence. But this guy, you see, he is basically an immigration activist. His job is to flood the West with foreign people for whatever mental reason that he's got going. I don't know who he was.
But we're basically funding our own demise through the Uni Party in here, aren't we? We're basically funding ethnic replacement and job replacement with the Uni Party in here, with the globalist manifesto and agenda.
Yes, we are. We fund. Well, to an extent, we fund the political parties through various forms of taxes, but we especially fund the legal system, the NGOs, and the charities, which get huge amounts of government funding, which is to say British taxpayer funding. And these NGOs and legal people and charities, they are employed basically to destroy the country. They wouldn't see it that way, but that's what in effect it is. And especially the lawyers. We
are paying millions of pounds to lawyers.
Millions of pounds to lawyers for legal aid. To claim it legal aid, you don't need, in Britain, you don't need to be a British citizen. So you could come in yesterday, you'll be eligible for legal aid if it's an asylum issue. Well, that should just not be the law. There should be no legal aid
I remember I said
for
to you,
any immigration issue.
Remember when I said to you, I was talking to Ash, that I was deported from Dubai. I was attacked by a Pakistani taxi driver in Dubai. I was held for 2 years without a legal ability to work or leave the country. My father died. I couldn't come home from my father's funeral. The taxi driver admitted to getting out of the car and attacking me from money that came out of a bank account. So the money, and I only had the change when I went to I was held for 2 years. The British government did nothing. I went to the British embassy in Dubai. They did nothing for me over there for a humanitarian right. So do you think our human rights are being abused while other people's human rights are being supported?
Well, that's right. They always talk about human rights. But, okay, whose human rights? They talk about the human rights to claim asylum. Yeah, well, I also have a human right to be safe in my own country. Okay, so if you're going to give everybody automatic access to Britain, and we don't know who these men are, or what they've seen, or what they've done, just on the grounds of their human rights. Well, what about my human rights, your human rights, to be safe in our society?
But I don't think this is a human rights. I think this is a deliberate policy to have open door immigration, destroy the nation state, and in the future move towards one world government, the one world currency, and this is basically going to be like the Hunger Games. There's going to be a ruling elite who are going to back the big corporations and not support small and medium-sized enterprises in Scotland as well. The so-called Nationalist Party don't seem to be very keen in doing national things and supporting the individual, not following the globalist agenda.
Yeah, 100%. You're correct on that. You're correct on that in that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
And how is there any way that you would see for us actually helping to what's that say, communism for the and not for me? For me, yeah, that's right. Basically, we're basically going to be socialised or have socialist policies or far left policies up to including cultural Marxism and even Marxism, but certainly socialist policies for us, high taxation and the state knowing what's best to do with our money, and then capitalism for the corporations and the ruling political class, which is in here basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's a correct way of looking at it. We are dealing with a globalist class, as you say, political class and media class in Scotland who perpetuate each other and support each other, but they get
it's a symbiotic relationship.
That's the word, and it needs to end. And
we were talking about that earlier on. I've been criticised by people in the media because what they've got is a cosy relationship. You were saying I'd like to debate John Swinney, and I was saying you'll not get to debate John Swinney because. You will not get to debate John Swinney because they do not want people who can challenge. That's why they don't want reform. That's why the conference is in here. They don't want people who can challenge and break their narrative.
Yeah.
They want people who are going to be yes men and yes women to support their underlying narrative.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And what they do as well is they give these people money so that the yes men and women, as you put it, they are paid very handsomely by the Scottish so-called government to continue to be there. To answer in the affirmative.
People coming in out here, if that's all right, please.
Yeah, that's right.
We've got people tenants here as well. Keep you in the road, thank you very much. Cheers.
Yeah. So. But I'll just move that back a wee bit then.